Hi, everyone. Hello. So I'd like to start with a little bit of exercise for you. So imagine in your company, in your UX field, you have a new boss or a leader or a director, and you're invited for a discussion. And the boss asks you, okay, so your UX team wanted to solve problems. Great, fair enough. So tell me exactly which problems did you solve last year? Okay, can you list me all the problems that you've solved? And then you start to think about, okay, but we don't work like we did designs or research, and what problems, like another situation. You are in the UX research team, and the manager asks you, okay, as far as I see in my Excel, we spent $1 million last year for your UX research team. So what exactly did we learn? Okay, because I see the list of your recommendations like move this button, optimize the customer path, redesign the website. So was this really worth $1 million I spent for you? Or imagine being in design ops and the new director comes and asks you, okay, so design ops, like, what do you guys exactly do? Like, you optimize processes for other designers, but you don't design yourself? Okay, so why can't designers do that precisely? Or imagine your 140 design team has been just laid off, hundreds of people are let go, and we are left with 40 designers in your whole organization. So either you're laid off and the change starts for you, either you stay as a part of these 40 and things aren't like they were anymore, or you're a manager of the remaining 40 people and you have a hell of a job to lead these people through the change and transition that will start. Either way, a change will happen to you, and it will change. I will guide you through 3 things that you might do as a professional who is on the verge of changing your entire occupation from UX to another field, or how to navigate the change when you have been just laid off. I will spare you the details. We probably all know it's just enough to Google that. In US, mainly, there is a heavy bloodbath among UX and Agile professionals, right? But let me spare you the details. So what to do? What to do if you are a manager of the people that are let go? What to do if you are a manager of the people that stay and have to endure in the new situation? Okay? I'll guide you to 3 distinct phases of navigating the transition from the old state where things were glorious and worked to the new state when the future is still new. Every transition process, you will follow 3 exact stages. You will find yourself either in the phase where you need to say goodbye to the past, because we know change is just about to start. Nothing will be the same anymore, okay? Just say goodbye to the past. Let it go. The second stage, the second headspace, after letting it go, will be, where's my glorious past? But hey, where's my future? I don't see either. Okay, I'm no longer with my glorious past. I'm no longer a cherished UX manager or a leader, but I don't know who I'll become pretty soon, right? So there is this strange feeling in between, not having your glorious past, not even seeing the hint of a future on the horizon. And there is the third, last stage, when you slowly get to start new things. Either you have a new job, or you decided to change entire UX as a career, as your career. And you have, you enter a new horizon and things are getting serious and you start fresh and you need a lot of energy to get things moving. So what I'll do, I'll walk you through 3 of these stages, giving you some examples, and hopefully this will help you to navigate yourself or your people, if you're a UX leader, for the future changes. The first stage, the soundtrack, if we could play a soundtrack, that would be probably something like this. You know, you won't believe me, but my daughter have seen me creating this keynote, and she said, okay, is that what you do at work, Dad? You're posting frozen pictures to presentations? Let it go. The first phase, how to say goodbye to the past that's ending. Okay? My story, well, I learned that from my personal story. You know, I was one of the first 2 UX designers in a large company, really, really large. We kind of started the movement, right? Because our team was growing. We've been recruiting people. We've been contracting companies to work with us. We've been establishing other design themes somewhere else. Quickly, I was moved to manager role, and then a global manager for a global department. And then there came a huge reorganization and huge transformation process in our company. So obviously I took part because I was one of the best managers, highly rated, you know, loved by everyone. So I took part in the transformation process to inject UX processes, to inject design thinking, human-centered design, agile ways of working into the new org. Right? I was just pretty sure, because everybody made me pretty sure that I'm going to, you know, advance to a director level and hopefully further. And then 1st of January came, and I've just, after getting back to my work on 2nd or 3rd, I just opened an org chart. And what did I see? I was individual contributor again. So this was kind of a shock, right? You've been promised to enter the org on a white horse after all the hard work that you've done, and yet you find yourself being individual contributors together with your peers. So that symbolized a pretty abrupt change for me. And reality told me, okay, checkmate. What do you need to do? Put your skin in the game, because now what you have been teaching others, the resilience, adaptability, the need to be able to continuously reinvent and transform yourself, was put to a test. I remembered back then that I was asked a couple of years before to give a speech at Google campus in Warsaw about what will happen to the UX field 10 years from now. Right? I was pretty, you know, kind of a doomer back then, predicting, you know, all the AI things that will happen, or cheap design that you could buy was all the rage back then, right? So I ended my presentation, okay, when the doomsday come for UX, I know what I will do. Do you? Right? So that was the call that was really a call for me, when I found myself exactly in that situation, being let go from my cherished manager responsibilities and back to IC. Okay? So for me, it was time to put my predictions to a test for myself. Now, precisely at the same time, I was witnessing a story from a young missioner somewhere in Siberia who was pretty zealous and full of energy. You know, he entered the Siberia with a full will to teach, to preach, to convert people, you know, all the things that missionaries do, right? And he was sharing his story that, you know, he was really willing to just go teach, preach, but in reality, his full day was just spent on traveling from point A to B, and point B was indeed a really small village with 3 elderly people who barely could hear the person, right? So he went to his bishop and told him, okay, what I should do, you know? I'm here for a reason, right? I need to teach, preach, convert, just be with people, and I barely see people anymore, right? And the bishop told him, you know, man, maybe you formulated your vision wrong. Your goal isn't to start new things. Your goal is to help people end old stuff, right? You are not here to just teach, preach, convert, and just make a movement. You're here to help people close the chapter, to say goodbye to the past, wrap it up, and move on. And this is precisely one thing we need to do as you close your old chapter, or you found yourself laid off, or you really want to switch your field, is to say goodbye to the past, because otherwise the ghosts of the past of your glorious, shiny, bright past will always haunt you. So learn to say goodbye. For each one of you, if you're a manager, for each one of your teams, that would mean something different. But find some good symbolic ways to end the chapter, to mark it, because people need symbols, people need rituals. If they don't have any, they will find their own ways to establish some rituals. Don't hate the past. When I moved to my role to my new role as a transformation leader, I was very quickly diminishing the role of UX, right? It was just not for me. UX is dying anymore, right? The transformating and navigating changes, this is the thing. Don't hate the past, okay? Take some reminders with you, because the place you are in resulted from things you've done in the past. I took all of my UX and design thinking books with me. I put them proudly near my desk so that people know, my new colleagues from my new job know where do I come from, right? So take some past with you, make it meaningful, but then say goodbye. If you don't end, if you don't mark the ending in your own head, if you don't celebrate the ending with your team, things from the past will haunt you as you go on. With every change, we lose something, and that's inevitable truth. So what do we lose? People who study how any change in your life influence behavior and emotions will probably tell you that you can see a range of emotions within yourself or within your team. So what will you see? In the letting go or ending state, you will most likely experience anger. What do you do with anger so that it doesn't turn into aggression? You acknowledge. The first thing when you are a UX manager or a manager and you experience anger because people are angry, things have changed, most of people have been laid off or I'm being laid off, it's anger. So the first job is to acknowledge your anger because it has its place. It has a full right to appear. But your another job is don't let the anger turn into aggression, because that would be destructive. The second thing that you will see with your people that undergo the process of change is bargain, okay? We will maybe do something better to be even more efficient as a team. And could you please bring our colleagues back? This is what happens. If you lost someone dear to your heart, this is what happens. You think how to revert the inevitable course of action. You will see anxiety. And if you're a manager, your only and most important job is just to double your presence, be there with your people who experience anxiety. Listen to them. Same with sadness. Be there, but don't offer cheap consolation. Right? Sadness has its place. It has its role. And as sadness might turn into depression, as anxiety might lead to fear, again, your job as a manager is not let these emotions escalate. Because they will be there, they have their place, don't let them escalate. I'm afraid I need to tell you this and show you this, that the only good way to deal with suicidal thoughts would be call 112. Yep.
Can you tell that some cars need to move from the...
Okay, we need some cars to be moved from the parking spot, and the cars are?
Behind the food trucks.
The cars behind the food trucks. If you parked your car behind the food truck, let it go. Okay? Okay, message transmitted. We enter another stage. Assuming we have let go, we told goodbye to the past. That would be the soundtrack again, which would mean we are entering a zone, a mental headspace. When we said goodbye to the past, we hope to enter a new reality, but it doesn't come. It might be that your management announced that your company is going to merge, and you think what will happen to your role. 3 months in, nothing happens. Your leadership is just gone somewhere, buried down into meetings and perfecting PowerPoint slides. Where's my glorious past? I don't yet see what will be in the future. That's called a no man's land, also known as the neutral zone. So things are not sure anymore. You don't know what to do. Any one of you, take a look at this screenshot from Google Maps. Any one of you know what's that route and who traveled that route on foot? That's from Egypt to Israel. Moses. So that was the Moses leading the Israelis from the slavery in Egypt to the Promised Land. So 177 hours on foot. How much time is it to travel on foot? Like approximately, what would that be? Do your quick math. A month or 2, 3 months? Okay, maybe 6 months. You have children, you have elderly people. That's great. So why in that story it is written that it took 40 years for them to travel what would be normally a 3 months road, assuming the sea will open in the right time and place, right? Why it took them 40 years? So 40 years was just a time for a generation to pass. So that was the average lifetime back then. And it meant you need to forget how it was before, because you'll find yourself comparing things that are right now to things that were in the past. You know what they would do immediately after they left the slavery? They started to say, okay, we were beaten by a wooden stick every day, but at least we had fresh water and food. What do we have here in this damn desert? Do we have anything better than we had? You know, because we don't see. 40 years was the time needed to make the switch, because if they would approach the Promised Land and see nothing but grass and sand, they would start to revolt. So that's why in every change, the time needs to pass. For your people, for your team, if you are transitioning your whole organization to some new models of working, or you're reducing the workforce, sadly, you will lose some people along the way. This is an inevitable consequence of the change. So you need time to forget. Confusion in the neutral zone is absolutely natural. What you will see among your people, your colleagues in the team, within yourself, within the org, would be anxiety, will be disillusionment, because we were promised a glorious past, and hey, where it is, okay? You will experience quiet quitting, kind of a trendy trend at the moment, isn't it? So what would represent a total loss of motivation. You know, people drag their feet behind. They just don't want to work. You were promising us something better, and all we get is seeing hundreds of our colleagues let go, right? I was promised a better future with my new job as transformation leader. But what did I do? The first thing I arrived in my new organization was to organize a design thinking workshop. Another thing I did in my new role as a transformation manager, I involved myself in recruiting UX designers because they were needed. I did none of my new stuff. I did everything from my past. Probably because I didn't pay attention to say goodbye properly. You will see polarization within your team because every change polarizes your team. One group will be saying, hey, I'll enter the new org on a white horse. This is my chance. I was silent for too long. Now it's my chance. They will expect miracles to happen. Another group will be surprisingly silent. Will recede, will drag their foot behind. They will quiet quit. So you as a manager, you will need to deal with this polarization by people who are, yes, this is my chance, maybe I'll get promotion to a team leader, and people that don't give a shit anymore. Your job as a manager, or if it's you who experiences the change, is to keep the energy level stable, because this neutral zone is hell of an effort to maintain your composure and safety. What does that mean, to keep the energy level stable even if low? Compare that to the car engine. if it's running, it's relatively easy to start driving. If it's not running, just to turn on the engine consumes a lot of fuel and a lot of energy just to get started. So as a manager, as a leader, there's perhaps the one thing you can't let to happen. That means your people's energy drops down, and when new things are required, they no longer have an energy to start it. How do you exactly do that? Well, it varies between professionals. One thing that I found really works, and it's kind of freeing for managers. It's not everything on your shoulders. Track the mood of your people experiencing change. Make it transparent so that they can help themselves. Not everything is in your shoulders. What works well in this neutral zone when people experience something between, the past was glorious, the future is not yet here, they tend to take care for each other. And this is what you want to do. No manager word will always bring consolation as big as people helping each other. Heck, management is very often the part of the problem. So teach your people to help each other. Make feelings, emotions, and needs transparent. Normalize rumors. Rumors are there in every change process for a reason. We don't like rumors, right? That's what we think. Rumors, bad. No, rumors, okay. Because they convey very important needs from your organization that would otherwise wouldn't be expressed, right? People are afraid to speak, but every rumor conveys a part of the truth, and it speaks about the need that it's not met during the change process. New beginnings. After this land of confusion, when we promised something to people, or they said goodbye to the past, but they haven't seen any future happening, there comes a moment when you really need to get your energy because you feel like, okay, it's starting now. That would be the soundtrack. When you start afresh with your new role, new team, shrink the department, a couple of things happen. First of all, it really destroys your sweet do-nothing, quiet quitting in a moment. Because you are required to put double amount of energy into your new role just to get your expert role back. New beginning reactivates loss. So if you haven't said proper goodbye to your past will haunt you and will drag you back. You will feel not competent. You were competent back then, but right now, until you get your, from rookie to sophomore, it will take some time. Your muscle memory works. You will find yourself doing old stuff that you always have done before when entering a new job, right? Where's your energy? And what precisely, why did I do this change? I was really respected UX person. Why did I transition to a product owner or a product manager? Why the hell? I feel incompetent. This is where imposter syndrome comes into play. Confront your fear. How do you do that? Again, quote from the book of Numbers, the story of Israelis leaving the slavery and going to the promised land. This is really one of the first stories about change management and navigating transition. So what happened there? Okay, there were snakes. Snakes just come and bite people, right? People are too focused on the snakes, so they don't move. They stand paralyzed, the snakes bite them, they die. Lord said to Moses, make a snake, put it high. If people look at the snake up there, they will leave. What does that mean for us as managers? People are really dragged by the past. Past bites you back and drags you if you haven't said your proper goodbye. Don't look at snakes. That's the story, that's the lesson. Don't look at snakes, aim higher. Continuously remind yourself, why have you changed? Or what was the sense and the meaning of change someone has done for you? Don't look at the snakes from the past. If you're a manager, you might want to double down on being with your people, carefully explaining mission, vision, the purpose of the changes, even if they were hard, even if you don't agree. That's number one question I get from managers on the trainings. How to move people through change I personally don't agree with. But this is what you have to do. Don't let them focus on snakes. Ask them to look higher, to a higher purpose. Courage, people, isn't fear. It's acting despite your fears. The last thing, because we were just about time. Every change process is not from point A to B overnight. That might happen in some American corporations, but most of us will experience change as a long process. And as I was walking around Hopkinton, Massachusetts, near Boston, I just suddenly spotted a line in the asphalt. And the line said, here is when the Boston Marathon starts, right? And I have seen the picture of a marathon when you have 4 runners on front of the pack of people. When they hear a starting shot, they go, they run. They are really the first ones to adopt everything, adopt change, they go. Back then, you have semi-pros, right? They just are really eager to start. They know they won't make it to the first 100 even, but they are really willing to go. They have their focus, they want to be the best. That would be the middle management during the change process. And the last, people in the trenches, in the front lines. So, you know, people who really barely think, if I can make it to the finish line, okay, I have my new shoes and it's already starting to feel the pain. You know, they don't even hear the starting shot. They only start to move because they see others moving. This will happen in every change in your company. Sometimes it will be you being the first one and just running to achieve your goals. Sometimes you would be the last one, thinking if you will ever make it, and you will only start running because you see others run. Good luck with any of your changes, spontaneous changes, changes that you wished for a long while, or changes that are really ending your world at the moment. Use these tips, navigate your transition successfully, get in touch if you like to talk. 25 minutes is over. Thank you.
Adam, just let me say that it was one of the most inspiring talks I've ever heard.
Thank you.
And I am absolutely amazed. And maybe if I knew how to say goodbye to a lot of things in the past, I would be in a happier place at some point. But I feel like we have to remind ourselves that it's both in professional and private lives. And thank you very much for that. And I hope that you share my attitude about your speech. It was amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And if you have any questions to Adam, you have a chance. Or maybe you want to...
You do. I'll be here, so
yeah.
catch me if you can.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.